Good day, everyone. My name is Vince Gallman. Thank you so much for joining me today. So I feel the need to continue on speaking about attachment theory. I've been speaking about it quite a bit as of late, a little bit more than I normally do because of what I'm seeing going on in the world in regards to children, and I'm such a fierce advocate for the well-being of children. It's in me to stand up and speak out on their behalf and to be a protector. And one way that I advocate for children is by advocating for the importance of attachment, for forming secure attachments with them. I really feel it's part of my mission to make sure people understand attachment theory. Because if we can understand attachment, we can have a higher respect for it, and therefore we can have a higher respect for why it's so important in children, in their learning and development. And therefore, when a child expresses a need for connection, we don't simply say, oh, he or she's looking for attention. We have such a desire to honor that deep, very real, very valid need for attachment. We love it. We cherish it. And so for me, it's so important to make people aware about attachment needs or attachment theory so that we can better support our children in their learning development, so we can honor that beautiful, primal, core longing to feel a we, to feel that I exist in the heart and mind of my primary caregiver, my mom, my dad. That's a way to understand attachment. The feeling that I know that I exist in your heart and your mind. You can apply this to your adult relationships. You want to feel like you exist in the heart and mind of your beloved, your significant other. Another way to define it is you want to feel felt. You want to feel felt. The child wants to feel felt. That's empathy. That's compassion. One thing that's really important to me that I haven't talked about in previous videos is that in having a more thorough understanding of attachment theory, a more real, heartfelt respect for it, I think we become more inclined to connect before we correct, connect before we direct. It's a simple sentence that says so much. Connect before you correct, connect before you direct. Historically, what we've done with kids is a lot of correcting and directing without prioritizing the connection first. So what does that look like? What does that look like if we start with the connection and then go to the correction, start with the connection and then go to the direction? Well, let me start by saying this. Let us remember that children are not exactly logical beings, are they? They're not exactly rational creatures, our little ones. And a reason why is because they are right brain dominant. The right brain develops first. And I'm going to include an article about that in the description because it's very important we understand that. The right brain develops first. It's the most read article on my website, hundreds of thousands of views. I got the research to back it up. When we understand that children are right brain dominant, not left brain, not logic brain, but right brain dominant, then we can understand why connection must precede direction and correction if we're going to help the direction and the correction land in their brain and in their hearts. In other words, it's easier, it's safer for a child to receive and open to whatever your correction or direction is if you first take a bit of time to establish a we, whether that's in the context of touch, of gentle words, sitting down and holding them. And when they feel that we presence, then you can say, hey, by the way, I'm wondering if you'd be open to this. I'm wondering if you could consider this. Right? That's what the direction and the correction can come in, because now they feel that. And if they feel that it's much easier to go to the logic, to the rationality. And you know what? This, in my opinion, is also true in our adult relationships. Right? You come home from work, your partner's there, and instead of your partner going right to direction and correction, he immediately, something he's got an issue with, like maybe it's about housekeeping. He takes the time, he sits down with you, he connects with you. How was your day? He holds you. And after a few minutes, he says, hey, I'm wondering if, and then he goes into the logistics. Let's talk about housekeeping. Do you see the difference that makes? But what we also can see is that it takes more time. And one of the reasons why children don't get their attachment needs met is because parents are burnt out. They're not getting the support they need. So I want to offer that to you is, what if connection preceded direction? Connection preceded correction? What would that look like in terms of how you relate to kids if connection preceded direction and correction? What would that look like? What would you do differently? What would you say differently? What would you do more of? What would you do less of? You could spend a good amount of time breaking that down, thinking about how you would relate to children differently, how you would relate to other people differently. Again, this video, as you're going to see, is about why connection is primal to who we are. It's primal. It's foundational to who we are, and yet we haven't been tending to that foundation of being with. We're not human doings. Correction and direction is more the realm of doing, but we're human beings. That's foundational, and being is connecting, being with. Logistics, practicalities, correction, direction, that's more doing. So let's remember, we're not human doings. Children are not human doings, and yet we treat them as human doings. In the same way that we have prioritized thinking over feeling. Education system is about thinking. It's about inculcating, educating the thinking mind rather than the intuitive heart. Rather than the intuitive gut. We haven't been educating the intuitive heart, the intuitive gut, the intuitive soul. So what if we prioritized feeling more over thinking? And one simple way you can do that with a child, or anyone for that matter, even yourself, is to ask the question, what do you feel? Instead of asking, what do you think? Ask the question, what do you feel, son? What do you feel, daughter? Instead of what do you think? That directs them to the heart. That directs them to their feeling body. That directs them to their soul. And it takes them a little bit out of that, or a lot out of that. So today I'm going to go through 4 reasons why attachment is so important. It's so utterly important. And some of these, some things I've said before, but hopefully I'm going to give you new information. And I know I'm going to give you new information. And the other thing I want to say to you is that these 4 things, these 4 reasons, they cross over, okay? So they're not all distinct from one another. So let's go to number 1. Number 1 is co-regulation. Co-regulation means I, as parent, in my calm, regulated, soothed state, my soothed nervous system, my calm engenders your calm. My calm engenders your calm. So that's what children need. They need a calm parent, a regulated parent, whose calm presence helps them to feel regulated and safe and calm in their body, in their nervous system. That's co-regulation. My calm engenders your calm. And there's been such an emphasis on self-regulation, self-regulation, self-regulation. That's great. That's fine for adults if they want to self-regulate through their meditation practice, through their yoga practice. But as I said in a recent video, what I have issues with is school systems teaching children skills on how to self-regulate, such as through meditation, through yoga, when children actually learn to develop the capacity, they develop the capacity to self-regulate. They do that instinctually, naturally, within the relational context. In other words, when a parent co-regulates with a child, not only does that help the child to regulate, but it helps the child's brain to develop the capacity to self-regulate. The part of the brain responsible for self-regulation is called the orbitoprefrontal cortex. It's a bit of a mouthful. Orbitoprefrontal cortex. That part of the brain is so vital in terms of supporting our ability to self-regulate. But when we come into this world as newborns, we have limited capacity in our immature brains to self-regulate. We may suck our thumbs, we may withdraw as ways to calm, but that has limited effectiveness. What is key is the we, the safe, secure we. So co-regulation supports the child to regulate, co-regulation supports the brain to develop the capacity to self-regulate. So when we have children spaced out in a room and at school, and we're teaching them meditation, we're teaching them yoga so they can self-regulate, well, we are bypassing the responsibility and the necessity of the relationship. Not only that, but when we're teaching kids how to regulate, to self-regulate their systems at school through these different techniques that, in my opinion, have limited effectiveness, what we're doing is we're saying this is about you. You're the one. You're the issue here. And we're not looking at the larger context of the family unit, which is where the responsibility ultimately lies. In a way, it is a little bit of pathologizing the child. Now, I'm not against teaching children yoga. I'm not against teaching children meditation in school. There is benefit, but we're missing the larger picture here, which is the fundamentals of what's needed at home, that's where this begins, okay? So I'm not gonna go far into that because I've talked about that before. The thing I also want to really remind you all of is the wisdom of our traditional societies, our traditional cultures throughout the world, where the mom or the dad throughout the day carries the child, the infant, in a sling on the front, on the back, and that there's an entrainment, a sacred, holy entrainment, heart to heart, nervous system to nervous system. That is beautiful, ongoing co-regulation. Can you imagine how much nourishing development happens when a mother or father carries the child throughout the day on a sling, when they're tending to the fields, when they're going about their different activities? There's an entrainment of nervous systems. There's a co-regulation that happens. There's a beautiful bonding that deepens. But what I want to invite you to consider, and I have no research on this. This is just instinct. It is not just that there's an entrainment between mom or dad's nervous system and child's nervous system, but there's an entrainment between other systems in the biology. There's an entrainment of digestive systems. There's an entrainment of cardiovascular systems, and that the child's digestive system and cardiovascular systems and other systems develop by being in felt resonance with those systems in their primary attachment figure. Does that make sense? I mean, how beautiful, how primal, how instinctual, how lovely that is. I said in a video the other day that we cut the umbilical cord far too soon, and this is, I'm speaking to the same thing. We need to nurture as much attachment as possible. Anyways, I think you get the point there. So let's go to number 2. Number 2 is the fostering of a secure base, the necessity of a secure base. So what is a secure base? Well, a secure base is a primary attachment figure who is a secure person to go to, a safe person to go to. I can go to mom or dad and she's a secure base because they're not emotionally volatile. They're grounded, they're regulated, they're present, they're there for me. They're gonna hold me when I need to be held. I can cry safely in their arms. We can talk things out. They got time for me. That's a secure base. Now, what does a secure base do other than offer co-regulation? Well, what a secure base does is that it supports the child to safely explore. Instinctual need number 2. Instinctual need number 1 is attachment. Instinctual need number 2 is exploration, and they're linked. So if I feel safe in mommy's arms, daddy's arms, then I feel more safe to leave those arms and explore because I can always run back if I'm scared. You see what I'm saying? If I feel safe here, I feel safer to go out and explore because I know I have a place to come back to. I saw a really beautiful video of a baby elephant. Baby elephants, aren't they just absolutely gorgeous? A baby elephant going out and exploring away from his parent, and then I think he slips or falls, and then he runs back and he's taken care of. Now that was a wonderful example of what I'm talking about. Goes out and explore, but he's got a safe base to go back to, a safe, secure base where he feels calm, he feels safe. And then in that co-regulation, in that everything's okay, child, feeling, everything's okay, you're all right, I'm here for you, then the child can go back, the baby elephant can go back and explore again. But what happens if that base is not secure? Mom or dad are unstable in some ways. How is that going to impact the exploration, the instinct to explore? Well, now what we're getting into is what's called attachment styles or survival adaptations. And the two common adaptations or attachment styles are avoidant or preoccupied. It's often the word is ambivalent instead of preoccupied, but I'm going to use preoccupied because I personally like that word better. So the two attachment styles or adaptations are avoidant and preoccupied. Here, let me explain this to you. If I don't feel I have a secure base, if it's not a safe harbor for me to hang out in with mom or dad, well, one way to adapt to make sure I feel safe and to mitigate feeling hurt, feeling afraid, is to avoid that base. So I'm going to sacrifice the relationship to go out and explore. I'm going to hang out here more because it's a safer place to be. The other adaptation, the other attachment style is preoccupied. And what that means is that the child is going to become very clingy. And in this case, they sacrifice exploring for the relationship. With avoidant, they sacrifice the relationship for the exploring. There's a sacrifice in each case. With the secure base, there's no sacrifice. They get both. The child gets both, the exploring and the attachment. So with preoccupied, it's clingy. It's clingy. It's hanging on. They're trying really hard to get some sort of attachment. Now, in my professional experience and in my intuitive opinion, men tend to be more avoidant. There's plenty of women who have avoidant styles, but I find men tend to be more avoidant and women tend to be more of the preoccupied. Preoccupied also tend to be more emotional. There's more emotionality, whereas the avoidant tends to be more avoidant. Not just avoiding the attachment figure, but more avoiding emotion. They tend to be more quiet, more subdued. And what happens sometimes is we tend to call preoccupied anxious and not call this anxious avoidant. People will say, yeah, I have an anxious attachment style. Well, both of them are anxious. It's just that the avoidants hide their anxiety more. But what I want to say is this, is that you are not your attachment style. So if you say, oh, I'm an avoidant or I'm preoccupied, don't say that. Say, I have that tendency, I have that pattern, but it's not who you are. It's your survival adaptation, and you are not your survival adaptation. So a secure base is of utmost importance to support children to have this loop. I go out and explore and I can come back and feel safe and secure, and I can go out and explore, and this is what children need in their development. This is not this stuck and I'm afraid to go back, not this and I'm afraid to go out. You can imagine how these attachment styles manifest in terms of behaviors later on, and I'm not going to go into that, so this just to make sure this video doesn't turn into a marathon. I also want to just quickly say that back in the day of hunter-gatherer societies, tribal societies, that was our secure base. Our survival depended on having that secure base of the community, of being a part of that community, of feeling a sense of belonging in that community. We go out and we explore, we go do some hunting, some gathering, whatever it may be. We come back to that secure base of the community. So I want to just expand your understanding to see this is also applicable to the old days of living in these hunter-gatherer societies, where our security depended on being a part of this community. So the third reason why children are so attachment driven is because we human beings are naturally community, relationally oriented beings. We orient towards being with others. It is natural, instinctual for us to be in relationship. We came here to be in relationship. There's a saying that a meal is best enjoyed or most enjoyed when in the company of others. So with the exception of a few enlightened beings who have withdrawn from society, for most of us, we have come here to be amongst others. We have come here to be with others. That's why we're here. And one of the things that brings me great joy, and I'm sure you've experienced this, is when you walk by a young child that you've never met before and they gaze into your eyes. Or when you walk by a young child and suddenly they say something to you. They say, hello. I remember being in a grocery store about a year ago, and there was a young child there, and she looked at me from across the aisle and she went, and it really absolutely warmed my heart. It just made my day. It was like a healing. It was really powerful. And so we are here to be in relationship, and children show us that. They show us that by bonding with people they've never met before. And so I just wanted to throw that in there as a third reason. And that is we are a family. We are a family. And children break the barriers. Young children regularly break the barriers of strangerhood. You're a stranger. I don't talk to you. You're a stranger. I don't look you in the eyes. Children break those rules, break down those invisible barriers, and remind us of our common humanity, our common, our soulfulness, our oneness. And this now leads to number 4, the fourth reason, which is the most important reason, because it's primal, it's primordial, and that is the reason why children are so attachment driven is because we are all one. We are one. That is the reason why children are attachment driven. We are one. We forget about that. There's all this literature out there on attachment theory, and it covers all these fantastic reasons why children need attachment. But let us not forget this core spiritual reason, the foundational reason, the primal reason, and that is we are one. And so children long to feel oneness. You long to feel oneness. I long to feel oneness. It is my humble opinion that what we want more than anything is something that this world cannot give us. What we long for more than anything is divine union. Divine union. And so children are longing for that divine union, and there's no greater representative than their mother. The mother, the biological mother, is God. Is God. She is God. 9 months in the womb, come out, that umbilical cord, that holy cord is attached still. Now the child's on the mother's chest. Oneness is there. Oneness. So when I was talking about the entrainment of the digestive system and the cardiovascular system and the nervous system, that entrainment comes because of that oneness, that energetic bond. Entrainment doesn't happen without an energetic bond, without the energetics. So it is oneness that drives that attachment more than anything. Truthfully, how much are we driven, all of us, by the longing for divine union? We could say all of us attachment driven in different ways. And if I don't feel that sense of divine union in myself, then I'm going to attach to this alcohol, and I'm going to attach to my smartphone, and I'm going to attach to these cigarettes, and I'm going to attach to gambling. I'm going to find other things that I can attach to because I am not getting my needs met for attachment, which ultimately means divine union. What if attachment ultimately meant union, divine union, oneness? I was lying in bed about 1.5 years ago. It's a place I often get a lot of insights. And I created a video about this a while back, but I feel the need to speak to it here. I'm lying in bed and this powerful, feminine, angelic force came to me. And she said, "Give me your weight. Give me your weight." So what does that mean? So when an infant feels safe and secure in her mother's arms, in his mother's arms, what happens? The infant gives the mother their weight. The child goes limp in the mother's arms. He gives mom his weight. He goes limp. He goes loose. And what does that mean? It means the child feels a sense of trust, a sense of safety, and a sense of relaxation. And I invite you to see a triangle that has trust, safety, and relaxation, and they're all related. And in the center is peace. Rest in peace. I rest limp and loose in peace because I know I can trust. I know I am safe, and I know I can relax. And this is all held, this triangle, by love, by love. So I give mommy my weight, I give daddy my weight, and I rest limp and loose in this biological, this heart to heart, this soul union of oneness. There's a biological coherence, there's a heart coherence. But beyond that, it is divine union. And what happens if a child grows up with that foundation? What happens when a child feels that divine union, that connection with their primary attachment figures? What happens if the child regularly rests in their parents' arms, limp and loose, trusting, feeling safe, relaxing, resting in peace, held by love? What happens is that means that what that does is it fosters the knowing in the growing child's heart. It fosters the knowing in the growing child's heart into teen years, into adulthood, that they can rest in the arms of the divine mother of all life, also known as God. If I can rest, if I learn that I can safely rest and be held in my primary attachment figure's arms, I can go limp and loose, trusting that I can let go and be held. Then I grow up not thinking that I have to control everything as much, because I can let go and rest in the arms of the divine mother of all life, and she will take care of things. Because those arms, whether it's our biological parents' arms or the arms of the divine mother, what are they saying? They're saying, all is well and all is taken care of. All is well and all is taken care of. So I don't have to control as much because they're taking control. You see, a child that grows up feeling unsafe feels that because they cannot trust their parents to take control, to protect them, to nourish them, to love them. And if I can't trust my parents to take control, then I have to take control. And if I have to take control, how limp and loose am I going to be? No, suddenly the sympathetic nervous system engages. The parasympathetic nervous system disengages. The muscles brace. I become more on, and yet what really nourishes that connection is being able to safely turn off. Isn't that what you want with your partner? To go limp and loose in their arms, to rest in connection, to know that all is well and all is taken care of, so that you don't have to be on and they're in charge, and so you don't have to be in charge. How many adults have longed for that? I just wish someone else would take care of it so I don't have to, so I can rest and I can sleep and I can take care of myself because I know they're on it. And if they're on it, I can be off. But when we don't have a secure base as children, our survival depends on being on. And it's one of the reasons why so many adults struggle with sleep issues, is because sleep depends on being off, safely off. But if I grew up knowing, feeling, believing that I had to be on to survive, which is another way of saying I needed to be vigilant or hyper-vigilant, well, then that can become chronic. That can become wired in, and then when we're 20, when we're 30, we're having a hard time sleeping. We're having a hard time giving our weight to the mattress. Giving our weight to the mattress. So if we have to be on as a growing child, as a teenager, as an adult, we are more in control. It's harder to let go of control, and therefore it's harder to trust the Divine Mother of all life, be receptive to higher forces orchestrating things for us, because we need to be on. So if I can give my mother my weight as a child, I can give the Divine Mother of all life my weight and say, Divine Mother, please help me. I don't have to control everything. I can trust that life ultimately is in control. And that doesn't mean we don't have our part to play. We are co-creators here. But it's moving us out of this need to be overly in control, which is this chronic pattern within the Western world of being way too on and being disconnected from our heart, disconnected from our soul, disconnected from higher forces who are here to support us. This is a painful story we've been living for a long time. It's a story that's coming to an end. And one way we end that is by fostering the needs of attachment in children, by prioritizing them, their desire, their need, their longing to go limp in our arms, to give us their full weight. We end the story of separation by allowing that child to give us our weight, and therefore they can give their weight to life. You see, this is why, my friends, attachment is so important. It is bigger than biological. It is bigger than development, learning. It is truly soulful. It's soulful at the level of our human family. It's soulful in terms of our connection with our higher self. It's soulful in terms of our connection with all of life. And so I hope that this video supports you to see attachment differently, and that it supports you to prioritize it in children, to respect that need, that it's simply more than them wanting attention. Oh, they're just looking for attention. No, they want you. They want you. They want to feel felt. They want to know they exist in the heart and the mind of their parent. They want to feel held. They want to feel loved. They want to rest in connection. They want to know all is well and all is taken care of. They want to go limp and loose in your arms. They want to give you their full weight in that secure base that you are. They want to let go of control. And boy, is that a magnificent gift, not only to them, but to you as well. So I have information in the description. I'm going to put some articles in there that are going to be supportive. Please have a look. You'll find that it will give you extra information that will expand upon what I've talked about here. A friendly reminder, I have upcoming online healing and activation ceremonies. I'll put that link in the description. And thank you for watching. Please share, please comment. Your comments are really important to me. I really enjoy reading them. Please subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Click notifications. And I will see you when I see you. Take good care.